Good afternoon. This is Pat at Pat's Card Corner. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and I am back today with part number 2 of my Christmas in July. So I started last week, and I showed you one simple design made with the regular card, and then some alternative cards using the exact same easy design for Christmas cards. And today I'm going to share with you a new design that's just as simple and easy to put together, and just show you what it looks like with a regular card, non-Christmas, and then 2 that are Christmas related using some of our new Stampin' sets. So this is the card that I shared earlier this week. It's made with this lots of latte not lots of Latte Love Stamp Set, but a lot of Latte Designer Series paper. Got that twisted around there. And I am going to show you the paper real quick because this is an online exclusive, so you won't find it in the catalog. You actually have to go onto the Stampin' Up! Website to see it. So I thought I would just show it to you real quick. So these are the 5 or 6 designs that are on one side of the paper. They're all coffee related, some cups, some like coffee stains, coffee beans, coffee splotches, the fancy design you might see if you buy fancy coffee, and just like swirled coffee together, I guess. And then the other side has some really fun patterns on it. These colors are Calypso Coral and Lost Lagoon, and some, I think, Daffodil Delight Yellow. Anyway, so just some fun things. But these 2 pages have images that you can cut out. These can be die cut from the dies that match the stamp set. These you would have to fussy cut yourself. And you can see from the card that I did, I'd actually fussy cut one of those out. We're going to do another one today that I fussy cut, but you're more than welcome to stamp if you want. You can see the stamps right here. You can do a coffee mug. You can do the top of the coffee mug, like in the paper, and put some fancy designs on the top of your coffee. I don't know if you do that or not. I am actually not a coffee drinker, but I really like these cards. So anyway, so this is the stamp set that I used for the sentiment. And we're going to go ahead and get this card started so you can see how easy this design is. So you do need 3 different Designer Series paper to make this card. And the card that I'm going to make today is designed just like this one, uses the same paper, but different pieces of paper, so you can see what it would look like if you chose something different than what I chose initially. So you are going to need the following pieces. You're going to need a piece that is 4 1/4 by 11. You will need this is Lost Lagoon, by the way. I did score it at 5 1/2, so it's already pre-scored. You will need a piece of basic white that is 4 by 5 1/4. I chose this paper for my background. This piece is 4 by 5 1/4. You will need a piece that is, we'll do this, another piece of cardstock that is 3 by 3. One that is 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. You will need a piece that is 1/2 by 5 1/4. I'm going to put that on the inside of my card. You'll also need a piece that is 2 1/8 by 3 7/8. A piece of Designer Series paper that is 2 by 3 3/4. Kind of move those around a little bit so you can see better. Move this out of the way maybe. You can see all the pieces. And then you're going to need another piece of the Lost Lagoon cardstock, which is 1 7/8 by 5 1/4, and a piece of Designer Series paper that is 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. So these are all the pieces that you're going to need. I'm going to leave that here just for a second in case you want to take a screenshot of this. You can get it if you want to pause it right now so you can write the measurements down. But the other cards we are going to do today are made with these same measurements, with the exception of one. Only one piece is going to be just a little bit bigger, and that's because the stamp I use is a little bit bigger and I wanted to fit it all on. So, but for two of the cards, these are exact measurements you're going to use. And then I also have this piece, a scrap piece, because I'm going to cut out this coffee cup this time and put that one on the front of my card. So you will need a pair of paper snips, so we're going to do a little fussy cutting for that one. I am going to be using Lost Lagoon ink for this one as well. So you will need some ink. You can use whatever you want. You can also use pecan pie, which is kind of the background color of this paper, if you would like to do that instead, or early espresso, which would also look good for this card. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to move some of this out of the way, and we are going to be stamping this sentiment right here on our card front. So let's get started. I'm going to take these off and get the little stickers out of the way so that we can put all of our pieces together. So basically, our pieces of designer series paper just layer on top of the mats. You actually don't have to even use the mats if you don't want to. You can just put the paper down if you'd rather do that. I think the mats just add a little bit of texture to the card, so that's why I put them on there. So we are going to start with the front of the card. So I'm going to move this over a little bit. So we are going to fold our card base over, and we're going to give it a good little burnish with our bone folder so that it will lay flat very well. This is the first piece of card or design series paper. It's going to go right on the front, and we're just going to glue that down. And so you can see the cards are, little coffee cups are on the back. So we're just going to put a little glue on the back. My glue's running out. This is going right on the front, just like that. This card goes together pretty quick. Then the next piece, we're going to take these two pieces. They are going to layer on top of each other. So I'm just going to glue those down. You can see the pretty coffee splotches on the back. Yep. All right. So how many of you drink coffee out there? Like I said, I'm not a coffee drinker. I don't even own a coffee pot, if that sounds kind of strange. My husband used to drink coffee, but doesn't anymore because it gives him headaches. So, and then we have these two pieces. So this piece, these two, they're the same length, and I did that on purpose. So I just want the size to show, because when you're putting it on the card front, the edge around your card is going to act kind of like the other piece around the edge of it. So we're going to put those two together. So you do want to line the top and the bottom up with the edge of the paper, and just the sides are going to have the edge around it. So I do like using the liquid glue because I can squish it around a little if I don't get it exactly right. And then these two we're going to stamp on. So this piece is going to go kind of right there, about a little less than a ½ inch from the side, and kind of even from top to bottom. So I'm just going to glue that down. Oop. A big clump of glue on there. I'll just kind of slide it that way a little bit. Maybe a little closer. And then this piece is going to go here. This piece is a little bit directional. These are both going up and down, so that's why I'm going to put it that way. Otherwise, only one of them is going up and down. The rest are upside down. So I think I like it better like this. So we're going to put that kind of right there on your card. Just going to put some glue on the back. as I said, so this piece lines up with the top of your designer series paper that's already on the card. So a little bit right of center is kind of where I'm putting it, because this piece, these two pieces, sorry, are going to go on kind of like right there. So we are going to do a little bit of stamping on this one first, though. Actually, I said I was going to stamp it in Lost Lagoon, but I think I'm going to change my mind and stamp it in this color instead, which is Pecan Pie. So this piece is square. It's 2 7/8 by 2 7/8, and I am just going to stamp along the bottom. So I'm going to ink this up really good. Hopefully that, and just put that on the bottom there. There we go. Close that up so I don't make a mess. And then I am going to cut out this coffee cup right here for this card. So I'm just going to fussy cut around it. I'm actually going to kind of make it smaller first, and then just fussy cut. So when you're fussy cutting, you do want to leave a little bit of an edge around it. You don't want to cut it exactly on the line of your image, because that way if you do that, if you mess it up a little bit, then it kind of, you might not cut it exactly right. This is a little more forgiving, plus it gives it a nice little border, especially for this one, because it's going on the white, so it kind of gives it a little bit of a tan border that matches the rest of the card. So, and then I also move the paper and not my scissors. Usually when I'm fussy cutting, you just get a better line, especially if you're going around a corner. And there we go. I'm gonna just clip that little corner off, and there's our little cup. So I am going to put that on dimensionals, and I have some right here. And then we're going to add some embellishments, and then this card is almost done. I'm going to add a little bit to the inside of our card. Put those up there. I'm going to kind of put that on a little bit of an angle. Probably should have glued this first, but we are going to glue that on there. Probably would have been better if I glued it first, because then it's not lumpy on the sides, because the cup is on dimensionals, but this will work just fine. I'm going to straighten it up just a tad. There we go. And then this piece is going to go on the front, and it's also going to go on dimensionals. Makes it easy to put on and off. Or not off, we're not going to take it off, but just, and there we go. I'm just going to put that on there like this. And then we're going to add some of these little dimensional. These are called swirl dots, and there's 3 different colors. I'm not sure if you can see that or not. If you kind of look at them, they look like they kind of have like when you stir coffee and cream together, they've got like little swirls on them. I'm going to scoot it over this way. There you go. So there. So you can see the other side. All right. And I'm going to use my take your pick tool to take these off. And you can put them anywhere on here that you want. Turn it up a little bit, get another little piece out. I think I'm going to use the darker ones, since there are no the smaller ones on here. Or the other color on here. Put one here. And maybe we'll throw one down here. Okay, so I've been told you should put embellishments on in odd numbers. evidently more pleasing to the eye and kind of in a triangle pattern. So your eyes are kind of drawn to all sides of the card. So the only thing left to do is the inside. And I did cut another one of these pieces. I'm going to run it down the side. A lot of times I run mine across the bottom, but this one I'm going to run down the side. And it leaves me plenty of room to write a little note if I want to. There we go. And then that's just going to go on the inside of our card. And then we're done with this card. Now, if we had stamped the mug, it would have taken us just a little bit longer because we probably would have wanted to color it in a little bit with some Stampin' Blends, but because I was just using one that was already cut. So there you have two versions of the same card using the same paper, but I think they kind of look a little bit different. So there you go. All right, so we're going to move on to the next card. Move some of this other stuff out of my way so I don't actually get my ink in it. And move these. Okay, so the next card I'm going to show you is a Christmas card. And this is the card that I made. And this is the stamp set that I used. And I bought this. I like snowmen, so anytime Stampin' Up comes out with a snowman, I'm going to be buying the set of stamps. So, and this is that stamp set right there. So this one you get to do a little bit of coloring with because, you know, the images just need to be colored. So, but the paper that I chose is something that you might not have thought about choosing because it's not actually Christmas paper. So the paper that I chose is the Mediterranean Blooms, and I'm going to show you that as well. So I'm just going to move this out of the way real quick. And this is the Mediterranean Blooms paper. So on one side, you get all these beautiful colors, images of oranges and lemons and a little bit of flowers. These are oranges and lemons mixed together. Those are just all lemons. Those are kind of all oranges, although they almost look a little peachy looking too. And then you have these oranges. But the back side of this paper, all of them, are these beautiful blue patterns. Typical, like I guess you'd see in the Mediterranean, kind of tile looking. But this one, which is, I thought almost could be like little snowflakes falling down from the sky. They are like little diamondy shapes, so but they kind of look like little snowflakes. And then the other one that I chose to go with it was this one, because these kind of look like the paper snowflakes we used to make when we were little, and you'd fold up a piece of paper and cut little notches out and you open them back up and they kind of had these mosaic kind of designs on it. So that's why I chose this paper. It's not typically what you would think of for Christmas paper, but I thought it worked pretty well for this card. So that's what I did. So this card. So we used this little image right here, and I used this little Sending Loads of Christmas Cheer right there. So we are going to do this card, and I'm going to show you the designs that we used for this one. So this one only has one thing that's different from the other cards. One of the measurements are just a little bit different. So I used Night of Navy, piece that is 4 1/4 by 11. You will need 2 pieces of the 4 by 5 1/4. The other card, their second piece, the background, was Designer Series paper. This one is not. I just used white. I did emboss it with the falling, I can't find it where I put it. Trying to remember the name. Snowflake Sky, that's the name. Snowflake Sky embossing folder, and you can see it looks kind of like snow is falling a little bit up here and a lot more down at the bottom. So I did emboss that. That's going to be one of the 2 pieces of 4 by 5. Then you're going to need a strip that is 4 by 1/2. That's to go on the bottom of the inside of our card. These measurements are the same as the other card. You'll need another piece of Night of Navy cardstock that's 2 1/8 by 3 7/8, a piece of designer paper that's 2 by 3 3/4. You will need these two pieces, another Night of Navy cardstock, which is 1 7/8 by 5 1/4, and a piece of the what I call the Starry Designer Series paper, the 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. And these are the only two that are different. I had to make this a little bigger so that the image, because you can see how close to the edge it gets, so that the image would go from side to side. So this piece is 3 1/8 by 3 1/8, and this piece is 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. So the difference between this one and the other card is 1/4 of an inch, which isn't a lot, and you really can't tell, I don't think, unless you like look at them exactly side by side. You can see that this one's just a little bit smaller than that one. So, and if you had a smaller image, you could even make that a little bit smaller. Just make sure that you adjust it by the same on both the horizontal side and the vertical side, so that it's still a square. All right, so we are going to put this card together, but these are the measurements that you will need for this card. They're all the same except for these two pieces, which is this piece that's on the front, that are different from the previous card. All right, so I'm going to take these off, and we're going to get started. So for this card, because we are going to do coloring, you will need some Stampin' Blend markers, or something similar to that. They are alcohol markers, and when we do the stamping for that and the coloring, I will tell you all the colors that I used. You can use different ones, of course. So get that together. So the first thing we're going to do is fold. We're going to put all the other pieces together and do the stamping last. So we're going to fold this in half, which is scored and folded at 5 1/2. So this is the 4 1/4 by 11. We are going to put the piece that I embossed, or you embossed, or you can just leave it plain white if you don't have something to emboss with. And we're just going to glue that to the front of our card, just like we did with the Designer Series paper in the last card. So like I said, these cards they all go together the same way. It's just they have different papers and designs on the front. So they don't look like they're the same card. They look very much different, but easy to make. So, and then we're just going to go ahead and do this piece. This is for the inside of our card. So this is just a little strip, and you can choose to use a different strip on the inside. You could use a piece of this if you wanted instead of the blue scurry. I'm trying to think what I put on the inside of this one. Yep, I did a skinnier strip, so now you can see what it looks like with the skinny strip or a bigger strip. Sometimes I do the strip based on scraps that I have, and this scrap, I must have had a skinny scrap, so I thought I'd just use that. So this one's a little bit bigger. And that's going to go on the inside of our card. Of course, you can stamp a sentiment on the inside of this if you wanted to too, like Merry Christmas or whatever you wanted to put on it. Sometimes I don't do that until I know who I'm going to send my card to, and then I'll stamp the inside of it. Just kind of depends on the card that I'm working on. Okay, now we're going to put these two pieces together, and just like the other card, this strip of paper is going to be even with the top of the Night of Navy mat that's behind it, and a little space on either side for the paper. I think I'm going to have to make a card, the same design with this card, but using the lemons or the orange to show you how pretty this card can be as a regular card. So you want to line up the top and the bottom, and you just have a little bit of the cardstock showing on the side. And then we're going to put these two pieces together. And this one, you can see it goes all the way around. This one's going to go right on the middle of the Night of Navy piece. I really like this blue. I like blue anyway. It's my favorite color, probably. If I had to pick a favorite color, probably blue would be it. All different shades of blue, doesn't really matter. I like them all. All right, and then these, one of these is going to go here. The other one's going to go on top, like that. And then when we stamp our other pieces, they will go fit on top. I am going to move this over a little bit, just because this piece is a little bit bigger, and so I want to make sure that you can still see this pretty paper too. So I'm going to put this one closer to the edge than I did the other one, only because the square piece with the stamped image on it is just a little bit larger. So we're just going to, that's probably about 1/4 of an inch on the side. I'm going to kind of hopefully center it top to bottom, or close enough to top to bottom. And then this piece we're going to put about there, about the same. I'm going to just kind of make sure I'm not, not covering up all the paper. So that's why I laid my square on top, so I made sure I still had enough room to, so you could see both the paper and the little snowflake on the side here. So I'm going to put it, right about there. We're just going to glue that down. And make sure that the top and the bottom of this lines up with the top and the bottom of your basic white cardstock that's underneath. And that way the outside part acts as the kind of like matte, almost looks like the matte piece. You can't tell where it starts and ends. So, and now we're going to set this piece aside so that we can do a little coloring and stamping. So we are going to need our image, which is pretty big. So this is an E-block, so I can get it all on there. I am going to stamp that in Memento black ink, which I have here. And because it's a larger image, instead of turning my stamp and doing it this way, I'm going to lay this down and turn my stamp pad upside down and just tap on it. And you can see if you've missed anything, or if maybe you want to make sure you've got it really good, you can see where the black ink is on there. Make sure I get it good and inked up. And I do kind of line this up on my grid paper so I can make sure it's even. And I want to put this near the top because I have to put my sentiment at the bottom. And I'm just making sure that it all fits on there. Okay. And there we go. And then what do I do with my sentiment piece? Here it is. And then I'm going to stamp my sentiment in Night of Navy. So I'm going to cover up my black and get the Night of Navy ink out and stamp my sentiment on it. And I'm just going to center that, hopefully, on the bottom. There we go. And move my ink out of the way. My stamp. And then we're going to do some coloring. So when I chosen my colors, I'm going to put this up here so you can see. I chose Real Red for the scarf, Daffodil Delight for the star, Pecan Pie for the sled. I have both the light and the dark. I label all mine because the writing on these is very small, so I like to label them. And if you'll notice, there is a broader tip on one end, which you can tell by this little swipe here is a little thick. This is the smaller, finer print end, which has a skinny line, so that's how you can tell the difference. I did use a little Night of Navy light for some of the ornaments, same with the red. a little bit of smoky slate for the sled runners, a little bit of basic black for his hat. Oh, I forgot the pumpkin pie for his nose. Grab that. There we go. Nope, that's not it either. There we go. There we go. Had to go find it. I forgot the pumpkin pie. Otherwise, he wouldn't have a carrot nose. And this is a little unusual for the tree. I chose lemon lime twist, so the tree is not as dark as maybe traditional tree, but I kind of like the lighter color. And then I have a little bit of pool party light, and I used that to put around the edge of the snowman and the snow. I'm not sure if you can see that or not. It just helps define the snow a little bit, and sometimes when you look at snow, it looks a little bluish in the sunlight, depending on how it hits it, because it reflects the sky a little bit. So I just put a little bit on there, so you'll see me do that as well. So I'm going to move those kind of out of the way, and I think we'll start with his scarf. And we're just going to, and I am using the fine point for this, only because it's kind of a small little space here. Got a little red scarf. Make sure I get down to the end. I don't know about where you live, but where I live, we don't get a lot of snow. I'm also going to put this on the rim of his hat, on the band of his hat. So, in fact, I don't think it's snowed here in the past 2 years. So, you can... I live on the coast of Virginia, so in Virginia Beach, so we just don't... Depends on the weather gods of whether or not we're going to get snow in any given year. But when we do get it, it's usually my husband has to get out and shovel the snow, which he likes to do, so, which is kind of odd, but you know, he likes it. We'll do his little nose. This is pumpkin pie. Color his nose, and that kind of does it for the snowman. For the sled, we're going to do some smoky slate for the runners. I don't know if you saw my, if you looked at earlier today, I posted this card. I had a little story about me sledding. I lived in Connecticut when I grew up, so we did quite a bit of sledding, and because I was in elementary school, early middle school, and of course it was fun, obviously, to do some sledding. So, but we also had saucers, and I know they have them now, but I think they're plastic. But the ones we had were metal, like aluminum. And by the time, you know, the end of the winter came, they were, you know, dented and all kinds of stuff. So, but we used to make, I lived on a hill, very steep, kind of steep hill, and there were lots of trees and stuff at the bottom part of the hill, and then the houses were more like halfway up or more. So, but we used to make little sled runs with our saucer down the hill and through the woods, and we got this bright idea that we would put water on them so that it would freeze overnight and be really slick. Well, it was slick all right. I'm surprised we didn't kill ourselves, but it was fun, and I remember doing it. So I used the dark to kind of color in some of the lines, and then this is the lighter color to kind of fill it in. So parts of the wood grain look a little bit darker than the rest. I am going to go ahead and color in the ornaments on the tree before I color in the actual tree itself. So I'll just kind of scatter these around. And this is Night of Navy. Since our background of our paper is blue, thought put some blue on here. Guess I could have put some gold little balls on here too. But we're going to save the yellow for the star on the top. And I did use Daffodil Delight for that. And this color is pretty quick too, so. And then I'm using Lemon Lime Twist, the dark and the light. I just kind of went over the light. This is the dark. Some of these little like branch things with the dark part so that it would give it a little bit of contrast, because you know trees aren't solid green. They look, if you look at the trees out your window, even trees that have leaves besides pine trees, there's variation in the color of the leaves, so this just kind of gives it, and if you kind of follow the lines, it kind of makes it easy to kind of know where to do a little bit of shadowing with it, kind of where the edges of the branches are. So we're just going to kind of do that, and then the rest of it is going to be filled in by the lighter color. There we go. And I am going to use the brush tip for that. I'm just going to be careful not to go over the top of the ornaments with it, but there's lots of green space. I don't know, would you have chosen a different color for the tree? I thought about Old Olive, but I don't know why. It just seemed looked a little bit too dark, although this looks a little kind of yellowish, but I kind of like it. So let me know what you think in the comments if I should have done a different color tree. Okay, and this is the pool party light, and this is where I just put some, just kind of around the outside. And I'm not doing much, it's just a little bit, and it's not like all the way around, like a little bit where the, looks like there's little lumps in the snow, a little bit around the bottom, and then a little bit around here. So it's not very much, just a little. You just kind of want to highlight. You don't want to color all of the snow blue, because obviously it's not. You just kind of want to give it a little shadow. And then this is going to be glued onto that piece. So we're just going to put some liquid glue on the back here. And I'll put that on there. I'm going to put this piece on dimensionals, so I'm going to get some more of those out. And then this card is almost done. We are going to add a little bit of bling. When I did my other card, the original card that I did with this, I actually took them off, but I had little opal rounds on there. And then I found these other pieces, and I thought, oh, they look like snowflakes, so I need to put those. So I pulled them off my other card and put them on because I like them better. So I'll show you those to you in just a second. And we're just going to kind of center that on this piece and across the edge here. And there you go. And I forgot I even had these, so I saw them. These are iridescent faceted gems. And if you look at them, I don't know if you can see how shiny they are, but they're like cut in the middle, and they almost look like little like snowflake kind of looking. So that's what I decided would look really good on here, so that's what I decided to put on. So I'm just going to get my take your pick tool and the little putty end, although that piece is coming off. Whoop. This piece keeps falling out on me. Need to get it in there tighter. All right. And I just saw some lightning through my window. So if you see some flashes of light, it's getting ready to storm here, like really storm here. We have thunderstorm warnings. In fact, there's some thunder, in case you can hear that. So anyway, there's the card, the second card that I made. And I'm just going to put a few things away, and then we're going to do the last card that I made. And out of the way here. So I'm going to move these out of the way, and then I'm going to show you the last card I made, and I made this one with one of the new online exclusives, which is called Sophisticated Sled. And I had used this last week for a card, and I used a wreath. This time I decided to use the sled. Now you can stamp the sled, or you can die cut the sled. And I chose to die cut the sled. And I'm looking for my die so I can show it to you. Hold on just a second. All right, I just have them. They got buried underneath my paper. Sorry about that. So these are the dies that come with it. So you can stamp this sled and then die cut it with this piece right here. It will die cut the sled, or you can cut out the pieces of the sled, which are this, which is the bottom part of the runners, and then this, which is the sled part, and then this little cross piece, which is kind of hidden over here, but it's all in the same die. So those are so I actually used the dies on my card, but I did stamp this sled, and I'll show you what it looks like stamped. I just like the look of this one better, so that's why I used it. But you can decide for yourself which one you like. Okay, so the paper I used for this one is called Winter Meadow, and it's a carryover from last year. They carried over this paper into the new catalog, so this paper is in the current catalog, but you can also see it online. So I used two of the pieces of it. I'm going to show you the paper real quick. So this is the paper. Some of it I just have scraps left. So you can see there's a lot of blues and greens. There's a bunch of gray, more grayish looking ones. There's some like winter berries. These are Christmas trees, which I use. And then there's some blue Christmas trees. But the back side is more, I'm not sure how to describe it, like splotchy, not splotchy, but more like abstract, just designs. So not really, you know, I'm not sure how you would describe that. So you can let me know what you think, how that's described. So, but I did use two of the papers. The background of this one, I wanted some snowflakes and didn't have it, but fortunately there is a little snowflake stamp right here. So I actually just stamped some snowflakes on a piece of basic white, and that's how I got that white piece. And I also, there is part of the dies has this little bough of leaves, which I did die cut a piece of that, and I'll show you how I did that without using extra paper as well. So it's kind of a little trick that I used for one of the last cards I made, but I did it again for this one, so you'll see that as well. So this is the card we're going to do, and let me get the pieces so we can make it together. All right, you pull out all my, so I have die cut my pieces already, but I will show you the size of the paper that you need. So this paper is called Pretty Peacock, and that's the cardstock color that I used, which is 4 1/4 by 11. You will need two pieces of 4 by 5 1/4 inch basic white cardstock. One of the pieces we're going to stamp on for the front, and then the other piece is going to go on the inside of our card. So you do need to cut two of those. Then you will need another piece of Pretty Peacock that is 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. A piece of Designer Series paper that's 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. Then you will need a piece of Pretty Peacock that is 2 1/8 by 3 7/8. And this, and I'm going to show you what I did with this one. And this is 2 by 3 3/4. So for this piece, which is the matting for that, I took the die for that bow and I put it right in the middle and I die cut it out. So that's where I got that piece from without having to have another scrap. but then it's going to be covered up by this, and you aren't ever going to see that there's something cut out in the back. So it's a great way to get die cuts out of your paper without using up more cardstock just to do that one piece. If you do want to do that piece, you probably need a piece that is about at least 2 inches, and I think it's like 2 3/4. It doesn't need to be quite that big, but that's how I did that. So now you have the little bow piece I used too. Okay, so for the sled, you will need to cut out the runners of the sled. So you'll need a piece about 2 by 4. I used Early Espresso for this one. And this is the piece that is die cut. So I did cut that out of that piece. We're gonna put that over here, I guess. Not sure what that's left over from. And you will need a piece of this paper that I used to make the sled is from the Country Woods Designer Series paper. It goes with the Country Birdhouse. I think that's the name of it. It coordinates with that stamp set, but it's got a lot of wood grain pieces, and I thought it's perfect for die cutting the sled. So I did use a piece that is about 2.5 by 2 3/4 to do that. When you're cutting your paper, you do want to make sure, if you're using this, that when you're putting the die on here to cut it, that you make sure that the wood grain is going the correct direction so that it's not going sideways like that, because most sleds that you see are made up of several pieces of wood, and they do go that direction like this does. So you want to make sure that you get it going the correct direction. So most of my measurements, or in fact all of them, they're always horizontal number is first, vertical number is second. So I did go ahead and cut those out, so I'm going to leave those over here. And this is the die that I used for the sled runners, and this is the die that I used for the sled pieces that go on top. Okay, all right, and this is the bow piece that I used to die cut that piece out of. So those are the 3 die pieces you'll need. And then the last 2 pieces you'll need are a piece that is 3 by 3 of the Pretty Peacock, and a piece of basic white that is 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. And then I use this little strip for the inside, and that piece is 4 by 1/2 inch. So those are the pieces that you will need for this card. And I'm going to gather up all my stuff, and we're going to start creating so you can make this card. I'm going to leave these pieces there. I put my dies away so I don't lose them. Put them back on my magnetic sheets. In case you want to know, so these are not magnetic cards per se. These are magnetic vent covers that I just cut. And then I attach, this is the piece that when you get your dies, they're on a piece of this white, and they've got some double-sided tape on them where they're stickies and the pieces are stuck to it. But I like the magnet things better. I think it's easier to see the pieces than it is to see them when it's on a piece of white. So I don't know. And I don't have to worry about them falling around in the envelope when I'm storing them, because they stay where they're supposed to be, and they're not as heavy as some of the other chipboard ones. And the magnets, they work good, so I've been happy with them. So anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there. It's getting kind of dark in here. Hope you can see okay. It has gotten very dark outside. I've heard a lot of thunder. I'm not sure if you can hear that or not, but I've heard quite a bit. Taking all my tags off, which, you know, I saved these because I might have another card I'm using similar size pieces, especially the 4 1/4 by 11. I use that a lot. All right, so this piece I don't need because that's what we would die cut pieces out of. Okay, all right, so there goes the thunder. So we are just going, this is the Pretty Peacock, 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. Just gonna fold it and use my bone folder. give it a good crease. Gonna set that aside. These two pieces we're going to put together, and we're gonna do all of our stamping at the same time. Just but I figured I'd get some of these other pieces kind of put together and out of the way so there's not so much floating around on my little desk here. So remember, this piece gets lined up evenly with the top and the bottom, so only the sides show. And there's that piece. We're going to set that aside. And then we have this piece that I die cut the other one out of, and this. So just make sure that when you're putting your glue on your Designer Series paper, you put it around the edge and not in the middle, because otherwise, if you put it in the middle, it might seep out those little holes. So, and then you'll have glue all over the whatever your workspace. So this way, I don't have any glue on there. As you can tell, it lifts right off. And then, where did my other little piece go? Oh, here it is. It's my piece for the inside of the card. It's starting to rain now, so if you hear like little pitter patters, it's because I sit right by a window and I can hear it hitting the window. So this is just going to go right on there. Did I put something on the inside? Oh, I did. I stamped something on the inside, so we're going to stamp on the inside too. So it's a little stain on there that came right from the stamp set. And let me get my stamps. Okay, so I have 3 stamps that I'm going to use. One is this little Let It Snow. So that is going to go in the corner of this piece, the top corner. So I'm going to move these out of the way. This says Let It Snow on it. Make sure I got it right side up. And I do want to make sure that I get it right in the corner. And I'm using Pretty Peacock ink. Scoop that. Not sure how I got up so far, or my camera got up so far. Let's scoot that back a little bit. All right. What am I doing? I'm putting ink on here. And I'm just going to do it as close up to the corner as I can. So there we go. There's that one. And then this one, we stamped the inside sentiment on it. So I'm going to do a little of that. I got ink on me already. I'm going to line that up. Put that right there. Near the top. And then I have some snowflakes. I did put a little bit of snowflakes on the inside of my other card, so I'm going to do it with this one too. Just put a couple there. A couple over here. And then I'm going to move that out of the way just for a second. I'm just going to put that inside there so it's kind of out of the way. And put those on top of there. So this is the front, and we're going to do some stamping. Now you don't have to stamp the whole thing around the middle, so you really just kind of need to stamp around the outside. And if you go off the paper, that's fine. It doesn't have to be like right on, so I kind of like to go off the paper a little bit. So we're just going to kind of just randomly put some snowflakes up and down the sides. Not sure where they're going to stick out, so I'm just kind of, I do re-ink it in between just in case. Otherwise I will have dark and light snowflakes if you just keep stamping. And I'm going to put one here just to, I don't think it'll show, but you can always come back and stamp an extra. I think we need one right there. A part of one. There we go. All right. put this away. Okay, so now we're going to put the front pieces of our card together, and then we're going to work on assembling our sled that went on top. So this piece is just going to go right on top like that. You can just pretend it's like a piece of designer series paper, but we designed our own. So I'm just going to put that on there, just like that. Then this piece is going to go on about like that. You can see where I didn't put stuff in the middle, it's covered up, so you don't see that. And you're not going to see where I cut the little leafy bough out of the back either. You can also cut shapes out of yours if you have like a sentiment tag. Sometimes you might be able to cut them out of a matte piece that you're using, or a circle. And I could have cut another piece out of here just so, and kept it as an extra piece as well. So I just didn't feel the need to do that, but you can. And this piece is going to go kind of about like here. And remember, we're lining this up with the edge of the basic white piece that's underneath. Gonna put that down. And then these two pieces do need to be glued together, so we can put them on the front of our card. So the sled is on dimensionals on the front, but we do have to put it together. So, and that just requires a little bit of glue. All right, and this is going to go right there. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on, and that's going on with dimensionals as well. And these are the larger ones that I'm using, in case you're wondering. For the sled, we are going to use some of the smaller ones because they will fit better on there. All right, just going to get this kind of centered on there a little bit. Okay, so this is our sled, and this is the wood part of our sled, and it's going to kind of go down here because this piece, which is a little crossbow, goes up here across this little piece here across the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some glue, and I'm going to get my little silicone sheet just so I don't get glue everywhere on here. But I'm just going to put little dots of glue, right? And it won't take much. And whoop, I actually get it to come out. And you can kind of use the tip of your thing to kind of move it around if you want. So I'm just going to put that on there. And there are like little holes on the end, so I tried to line up the holes kind of with where the side pieces are, because that would be where they would be attached to if you were like had nails on them. But I'm going to show you a little trick I did to make it look like there were like little nails or rivets on there. So this piece is going to go on like this, and to do that I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on each of these cross pieces, and just a tiny bit on the side, not really much on the side, but so we're just gonna, and if you have a fine tip glue thing, which I do, but I find that if I'm careful, I can make tiny little dots with this too, so you can see how tiny they are. And I can get a few on the side here. I'm gonna put one up there. All right, and then you're just gonna lay this down on top so that these two side pieces are on the little side rails. And there we go. And there is our sled. just like that. And this is what the back side, you can see where the back side looks like. So very easy to put together. And so what I did to make, I'm going to show it to you over here. You can see these little things here are called adhesive back textured dots. And I put those on there so they kind of look like little rivets almost. But it just kind of made the sled look like it went together better. But they're called little textured dots. There's different sizes. So there are some bigger ones, but then there are these little smaller ones. And that's what I use to put on here. So I just put one everywhere where there's a little, there are little, I'm going to move this out of the way. There are little holes here, like here, 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 and here. And that's where I put the little texture dots, where they were the holes. So, and they're kind of almost the same color as this paper that I use, so which also, so they blend in pretty well. My little putty thing keeps. And then I also put some on the side up here on the little, I guess, steering handle you call it. So up there as well. I think I put one, even put one in the middle. All right, so there is my sled. So when I attached it, I kind of put it at a little angle here, and I put dimensionals on the back. And I used the smaller ones because you can put them where the little slats are so that you don't see them. So, and then I did put one, oops, got stuck there, right there in the center. And on either side, up there. So there you go. We're going to take these off, take the backing off of these. They're sticking to my hand. Oh, that one's already off. Sometimes I can't tell if I took them off or not, and then I have to stick my hand on them to see if they're sticky. Yep, they're all sticky. Okay, and then I just kind of layered it on there. And I made sure that these two are actually on top of there. So there's my little sled. So the next thing I did was, where's my little bow? This is my little bow. So this, I just put a little dot of glue right here. Or you could use a glue dot as well if you want to use a glue dot. And that's the, and stuck my little leaf on it. Now I did see that when I did my other one, whoops, it kind of covered up. I might have to get my glue dots because I think that's how I did it last time. It kind of covered up my little let it snow here, so I actually trimmed it. So actually I'm going to take that off and do that. So it kind of hung over a little bit where the words were, so I just took my paper snips and just cut off these bottom two little leaves. And you can't tell. So it just looks like it's not even missing. I'm going to get my glue dots because they hold better. Just going to put a glue dot on the back of there, and you aren't going to be able to see this because we're going to put a little piece of not ribbon, but a little piece of twine on there. So this is, I put a little bow up there. So how I did that, you can use linen thread if you want, but I kind of liked this, so I cut a piece And this is easy to do. It's a great way to get extra out of these ribbons. So I just kind of cut, well, it's probably too long. And I just cut off the very end of one side. And you can use this end to tie a bow if you want. So I just cut it all the way up. So I have that, which is a little bit thicker to cut. And then what I did is I just took, you can kind of see that they're like little threads on here. So I just took two of them. Well, there's three. Let me get two. Hello, two. Come out from there. There we go. And I just pulled them apart from the rest of it. And there you have it. And then I just kind of held it together and then just tied a bow with that. And you can see some of the little, it's got like little white dots on it. Some of the little white dots kind of stuck are stuck to here. So then that kind of gives your little bow a little extra fun where those are attached to. So I just kind of made a bow, made it the size I wanted. Cut off the extra tails. Probably didn't need to cut that long of a piece. And then I used a glue dot where the knot of this is and just pressed it into the glue dot, pulled it off, and then just attached that right on top of where the other glue dot is. It's holding on that branch, so it'll kind of help hold that as well. And that is how I did the little bow. And I still have extra, so I can separate these. You can just do one string, you could do three, but you can pull this apart so that you can have some more like twiny looking or ropey looking burlap kind of, I don't know what the texture is, but it just looks a little different. And then I also added some of these. They're pretty pink and pretty peacock or petal pink foiled gems. So, and they have like a little bit of gold in them. Not sure if you can see that. And I just put a couple of these on here as well. So I just kind of randomly put them on here just to kind of fill up a little bit of the white space. Or you could, if you wanted, you could stamp a couple snowflakes on here too if you want. So there you go. And there is that card. And whoop, let's glue that down. Almost forgot to do that. We can glue this down. Oop. My thing fell over. There we go. Hello. Oop, the sled got caught there. Glue that down to the inside of our card. And now our card is all done. And there's that card. So these are 3 cards that we made today. They all have the same pattern, but they all look different because you use different papers, different stamps. These are Christmassy, this one's not, but they're easy to make, easy to cut, and sometimes it's good for using up some of the smaller pieces of paper that you might have, but you can pretty much use this same design for all kinds of cards, and it's very easy. So I hope you enjoyed the cards this week, and have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time with some more regular card and more Christmas cards for our Christmas in July. Have a good day.